I thought about this in my head before this interview, and I said, this is my platform and it's my show, and I'm always going to do things how I want to do things. I'm not going to ever let somebody else dictate what I speak about. AIPAC. AIPAC has been around for decades. AIPAC has their, I would like to say political claws into a lot of Congress people.
Yeah.
Right? You, on the other hand, when you got into public service and you got into Congress, you didn't want anything to do with AIPAC.
That's true.
You wanted nothing to do because, like you said, you go ahead and get small donations by the people. You know what I mean? Like that's 80% of your donations were from small hand donations, right?
Yeah.
AIPAC comes in and says, "Hey, listen, we need you on board and to make sure that this message gets put out there." And you're like, "Oh, no, nah, I don't do that." And then you had one of your peoples. I remember you heard you talking about this. One of your peoples who was, I guess, friends with somebody in AIPAC handed you like this package, and it kind of just steamrolls from there, right? So we see that they're trying to get you, well, as soon as you get in, they're trying to get you on board. Obviously, the events happen over there in Gaza, and everything changes, right? My question is, when did being pro-humanity and human rights make you into a villain? Like, what world do we live in, Jamaal, where you can stand up for kids being slaughtered, just simple, basic human rights being violated, pretty much a genocide happening, and somebody can say that you're anti-Semitic?
Yeah. It's wild, man. Like it's really
like watching it in real time. Obviously you're going through it, but for me as somebody on the outside watching this happen in real time, like, why are they making him look like the bad guy?
Yeah, and again, it's not just me, it's anyone who is critical of the state of Israel. If you're critical of the state of Israel, AIPAC and the ADL will use their resources and infrastructure to come after you. And when I say resources and infrastructure, that's money, that's media, that's all of it, man. And and I'm glad you made the point. For me, that issue, the issue of Israel-Palestine, is a human rights issue.
Absolutely.
In a similar way that what's happening in the Sudan or the Congo or anywhere else, in the Uyghurs in China, anywhere in the world where the human rights of people will be violated or are being violated, it is our responsibility, in my opinion, to speak out against that. When I was a kid, the most prominent example of this was South Africa.
Right.
And apartheid in South Africa. Yes. And in my community and the culture that I represent, we stood up against apartheid in South Africa. And so those are my values, it's my perspective. And so, as I learned more about what's going on in Israel-Palestine, I began to speak out more about it because it's wrong.
Yes.
Right? If we want Israel to continue to be our ally, sure. But Israel has to be held accountable. We can't allow them to violate international law without consequence. And not only do we continue to fund Israel at $3.8 billion a year, plus other billions on top of it whenever there's a conflict, but we don't even criticize verbally. And criticism of Israel is not anti-Semitic. we're criticizing a state, not a people.
Right.
And so, and what's scary and dangerous is AIPAC and the ADL know this, but they have an objective.
Yes.
Their objective is to make sure Israel continues to be funded
By the United States.
by the United States. And so my argument has always been, well, we should support the human rights of all people, the safety and security of all people, and the self-determination of all people. That's Israelis and Palestinians. But we never have, not since I've been in there, and for the last 75 years we know the history. It hasn't been happening. Before October 7th, it was an apartheid state.
Yes.
Before October 7th, it was an open-air prison. Military occupation on the other side. So it's just, it's been crazy. So yeah, post-October 7th, and here's the other thing too, not just post-October 7th, AIPAC and the ADL and the pro-Israel lobby, for lack of a better term, they often write and have members introduce legislation and resolutions that they want us to vote on. And so I don't even really want smoke with nobody, but if you put a piece of legislation I gotta vote for, I'm gonna vote my conscience.
Yes.
I'm gonna vote my values. And so whenever we vote against what they think we should vote for, we're then attacked.
You become persona non grata.
Yeah, we're then attacked for that, right? And so and it seems like once a month at least, and after October 7th, it was like once a week, there'll be some kind of pro-Israel bill that they would just want us to vote on and vote in the way they wanted us to vote on it. And if we didn't, we were attacked. And so it's set up, it's like they're seeking smoke with certain members to make us vulnerable to when they want to come and try and get us out of office. And so that's another special interest that's very powerful in Washington, where not enough members are speaking out against them, in my opinion. And they also exemplify the big money in politics thing, because in my race, they spent more money against me than ever been spent in any congressional race in the history of America. And then they also spent a record amount against Cori Bush.
By 8 to 10 million.
Right after my race, right? And so what's frustrating is, in my opinion, we're not doing the real work of fighting against anti-Semitism and hate in all its forms.
And that's what it's all about, is that you need to, we have to knock down hate no matter where it is, right? Hate is hate. And if right is right, it needs to be that. Like, you can't attack somebody for wanting to see human rights just be on the forefront.
For all people.
For all people.
For all people, man.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it is, man. And so, that's the unfortunate thing, that we're like, not only is the pain and suffering of some people deemed as more important than others, but we're conflating things that aren't related, and we're not having real conversations. And so, again, criticizing Israel or Egypt or China or the U.S. is a government.
Yes.
It's not the people, right? Think about what Harvard just did recently, right? Harvard defied Trump, and we celebrated them and was proud of them, but then they got rid of their DEI program. But we're very explicit that they're still fighting anti-Semitism. So we're going to fight anti-Semitism as we should, but we're not going to fight anti-black racism, Harvard. And so, again, old guard, maintaining status quo.
You get certain wins here, but the old guard is still doing...
And the wins you get are for our communities, are smaller.
Very.
Right?
Very.
Because I still have seniors in my district and across the country who don't have optical or dental insurance. So it's we have to do a better job of serving the people, all people, and we're just not.